Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are ready to begin this evening's board meeting. The school board meeting of April 24th, 2018 is now called to order. The time is 5:59 p.m. At this time, we request that all electronic devices be turned off or be put in the silent mode. Also, we ask that you please refrain from using flash photography except during the special presentations portion of the meeting. We would like to take this opportunity to remind the members of the public of the district's mission, which is to ensure that each student reaches his or her highest potential, and the district vision to be a world-class school system. Prior to this evening's board meeting, we have been enjoying the Hooting Owlets Chorus from Dr. Carrie D. Robinson Littleton Elementary School under the direction of music teacher Sherry Donnell. The chorus consists of 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students who work extremely hard every week. At this time, they will be performing Ode to the Music Makers. Please sit back and enjoy the happy sounds of the Hooting Owlets. Thank you, Hooting Owlets, for this evening's introduction to the board meeting, Ode to the Music Makers. We loved it. Thanks for joining us tonight. At this time, we'll take a brief pause to clear the performance area. Ulana Newell is this evening's student representative once again. She is a senior at Cape Coral High School, enrolled in full-time dual enrollment, and will be graduating from both this year. Ulana has been a member and has participated in National Honor Society, National Spanish Honor Society, National Society for Collegiate Scholars as president of Florida Southwestern's chapter, National Society for High School Scholars as president of Cape Coral High School's chapter, and the School Board Student Advisory Committee as vice chairman of the committee this year. Ulana's hobbies include volunteering with various elementary and middle schools across Lee County, working and going to school. Her future plans are to continue at Florida Southwestern to complete her bachelor's degree in elementary education, and later on she would like to teach mathematics at the secondary level. The last time Ulana was here as a student representative, she noted that she was hopeful to receive a Golden Future Scholarship, and now she is gratefully honored to say she has received it. Welcome back, Ulana. This evening's agenda includes the invocation, the Pledge of Allegiance, one recognition, public comments, consent action items, which include 2 items under executive services, 5 items under academic services, 5 items under business services, 1 item under human resources, 2 items under information systems, 6 items under operations, as well as 4 items under superintendent's recommendation. And we have 1 attorney's recommendation, which is good cause. Mr. Martin, please provide an explanation for this 1 item.
Yes, Ms. Morgan, board members, the good cause item is to seek approval to submit a notice of appeal in the lawsuit challenging the constitutionality of House Bill 7069 and the attendant expenses. The trial court judge issued an order on April 17th finding the bill to be constitutional. So in order to ensure timely submission of the notice of appeal and payment of the expenses, I'm requesting the board address this issue this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. As presiding officer, I find there is good cause to add this 1 item to the agenda. And there are 4 items under other business. Board members, is there a motion to adopt the agenda? So moved. Moved by Mrs. Fisher.
Second.
Second by Mr. Teuber. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Teuber will deliver the invocation, after which Dr. Kuckel will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise for the invocation.
Oh, gracious and heavenly Father, we come to you today and pray for your guidance. The decisions we make today as a board affect the lives of many of our children and the citizens of our county. Give us the wisdom to perceive you and the intelligence to understand your will. Instill in us, dear Lord, the ability to see and hear all the facts clearly and take the best course of action for our children, our citizens, and our county. We pray in all that is good. Amen.
Amen. The cadet presenting the colors for tonight's Pledge of Allegiance will be introduced by Lieutenant Colonel Barry C. Dickerson, the senior Army instructor at East Lee County High School. Lieutenant Colonel Dickerson retired from the active service in 2014 after 29 years of distinguished service. He is a Desert Storm and Iraq veteran. Prior to arriving in Lee County, Lieutenant Colonel Dickerson served as the Deputy Director for the first Human Resources Sustainment Center in Kaiserslautern, Germany.
Thank you. The national colors for our Pledge of Allegiance tonight will be presented by Cadet Colonel Roxana Lara, the Brigade Commander of the East Lee County High School Jaguar Brigade Junior ROTC program. In addition to being the highest-ranking cadet in the Jaguar Brigade, she is also the drill team and color guard commander. Cadet Colonel Lara leads her brigade staff of senior cadets in the planning, coordination, and execution of all JROTC activities. As a testament to her superb leadership abilities, she was also selected as the commander of the Criminal Justice Academy. After graduation, Cadet Lara plans to attend Florida Southwestern State College to pursue a degree in criminal justice and a career in corrections with the Southwest Florida Public Service Academy. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
You may be seated.
I would like to invite Mrs. Jennifer Shonak, Administrator for Parent Communications, District Volunteer Coordinator, to please join me at the lectern. The intent of the School Improvement and Accountability legislation is to improve Florida's schools by returning the responsibility for education to those closest to the students, the schools, the teachers, and the parents. Recognizing that the involvement of the community is vital to student success, the Commissioner of Education and the Commissioner's Community Involvement Council established the 5-Star School Award, the highest award for community involvement. To qualify for this award, a school must achieve 100% of the required criteria and provide a portfolio that documents the achievement of criterion in the following areas: business partnership, family involvement, volunteers, student community service, and student advisory council. School advisory council. This evening, we are pleased to recognize and extend congratulations to 16 schools that met the strenuous requirements to receive the 5-Star School Award for the 2016-2017 school year. As I announce the names of the schools, I would like the representatives from each to come forward for a group picture with the board members and the superintendent. Bayshore Elementary. Bonita Springs Charter School. Bonita Springs Middle Center for the Arts. Calusa Middle. Cypress Lake High. Franklin Park Elementary.
Thank you very much.
I think. I don't know how we're going to do this.
You worked hard for it.
Ida S. Baker High.
G. Weaver.
J. Colon English. G. Weaver Hips Elementary. Lehigh Elementary. Congratulations.
Thank you.
North Fort Myers Academy for the Arts.
Oh.
Pelican Elementary. Tanglewood Elementary. Three Oaks Elementary. Three Oaks Middle, and Villas Elementary.
Oh, thanks. How are you? Thank you. Thank you.
The perplexed look on my face was on how we are going to go back now and get individual school pictures. So however you work this out, we'll take care of it. What do you want to do? That was the original.
I owe you that.
Yes.
Would you making sure Dr. Atkins behaves himself?
You know me.
All right. Crazy. That bird's
The next item on the agenda is public comment. Mr. Martin, please address the agenda item of public comment.
School board policy provides the opportunity at this point in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on this meeting's agenda or any other matter relevant to the operation of the school district. If you completed a card and submitted that to me before the meeting began, you'll be called in the order of the cards submitted. If you did not submit a card but still wish to address the school board this evening, the school board chair, Ms. Morgan, will give you an opportunity in a moment to express that desire. The rules concerning public comment are posted at the back of the room. The board does not respond during public comment time to remarks made by speakers. At the conclusion of public comment time, the school board chair may address concerns raised by speakers or may assign responsibility to the superintendent to do so. Speakers are expected to act in a respectful manner. Those who fail to do so after being warned by the meeting chair may be required to leave the meeting. Disruptive attacks on individuals are prohibited. Time allowed per speaker is 3 minutes. Ms. Morgan, I have 5 cards this evening.
Is there anybody on the right side of the auditorium who wishes to address the board and did not fill out a blue card? Anybody on the left side of the auditorium? State your name, please. I can't hear you. Gina Teal. Thank you. Is there anybody else? Okay, Mr. Martin, would you please call the first card?
Mr. Ray Troy.
Good evening. My name is Ray Troy. I live in North Fort Myers, taxpayer in the school district. I understand you've had a hearing here lately concerning a lawsuit that you are in with other school districts. I urge you to continue with that lawsuit. because there's another thing that stood out in that lawsuit when the hearing was held. In the last year, there was $780 million given to charter schools, or private schools as I consider them. And that included $330,000 of local taxes that you enacted. It's being used by the state, our tax money, which should be used locally. So I urge you to continue with this here lawsuit, and I wish you the best of luck because you need it, because I think if it stays the way it is and the way it's going to be, there won't be any public schools. And all these poor kids, how many people do you feed every day at this school? Because they can't afford the food. The thing is, they won't get a public education. They'll have to go to a charter school, which is, most of them are operating at a profit. Our taxpayers' money we're given to them. So I urge you to continue with that lawsuit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew Etheridge.
My name is Andrea Etheridge. I'm a student at Florida Gulf Coast University. I recently have been researching and looking at the firearms policies, and I completely agree, and I strongly encourage you guys to continue to implement different things besides implementing guns into the school system. Teachers need to focus on leading and educating and not safety. And there's already a shortage of teachers, so putting guns in the school would only encourage teachers to not be teachers anymore. So I'm aware of all the efforts that have been made and all the safety trainings that have been implemented, but what are you all doing as far as preventing tragedies from occurring? Like, I know that the doors are being locked. I know that they have been hiring more resource officers. I know that they are implementing metal detectors into schools soon, but what is the time frame on all that? Like, how soon will it be done? Many things can happen before all of this happens, like before all of this takes place. I know Bonita High is the only school that actually has all the new technology and security systems in place. So my question to you all is, how long will it take for the rest of the schools to be up to date on that technology and that surveillance? So I know that there's not one single action that needs to be taking place to increase security, and many things need to be done, but also strengthening partnerships with law enforcement, medical health professionals, psychologists, to assess these students that are dealing with all these issues, because some students are scared to go to school. So all students deserve a safe and secure and healthy learning environment, so I just encourage you all to keep this conversation ongoing and to continue taking steps to prevent incidents from occurring. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anthony Thomas.
Good evening, members of the school board. I'd like to thank you guys, because I think all school boards in the whole state of Florida ought to thank you, because your intransigence and unwillingness to work with Melissa and Matt Caldwell to get term limits on the ballot. The Charter Review Commission that they have for the state has put it on the ballot, but they've also put a Trojan horse in it, which removes your ability to control and improve charter schools. So I think on behalf of all the people, we thank you so much, because you're going to make charter schools easier, the standards will be lower, and the students and I think everybody else will suffer as a result. Let me talk about the issue that the lawsuit. This lawsuit that you guys have filed, some people will categorize it, I know a lot of my Republican friends categorize it as a frivolous lawsuit. I don't believe it's so much frivolous, but you guys have had your day in court. The judge ruled against you. Now, let me just tell you as a citizen, you're going to now appeal this decision. that judge is going to rule against you. Now, here's the kicker that you don't, and Steve and Patrica, they should understand this. At the end of December, Rick Scott, as he's walking out the door, is going to get to appoint 3 new Supreme Court justices. How much you want to bet that he's going to make sure that he appoints 3 new justices who are going to agree with his position that his bill is constitutional? Let's stop wasting the time and the money on this lawsuit. It isn't going anywhere. You made your point. We got your message. You don't like it. I don't agree with, I remember a couple years ago when Kathleen and Gina were on the board, they had a disagreement with Mary and Donnie and Tom, and they tried to put Mary Fisher in jail because they couldn't be voted for chair or vice chair. I don't believe in criminalizing political disagreements. I also don't believe in being litigious and filing frivolous lawsuits because you disagree with somebody. There's going to be an election. We're going to elect new legislators, and we're going to elect a new governor. Now is the time to not move forward with spending another dime as you're asking the voters to go for a sales tax referendum on a lawsuit that if your attorney tells you the truth, you have a 0 chance of winning. Let me also finally talk about my position on this issue with what the board, I know you guys are going to be having an election here with the referendum on the sales tax. My position, I think, should be very simple. I think the citizens should be clear on it. It doesn't make any sense. I like Greg Atkins, he's a good man. It doesn't make any sense to circumvent the process and to, I read in the paper where you guys want to renew the superintendent's contract. That doesn't make any sense. We're going to have an election where 2 members, Steve and Kuckel, are no longer going to be here. Mary and Pam are in a fight for their life for re-election. What sense does it make to renew the superintendent's contract now instead of waiting until after the election? The referendum on the sales tax is a referendum on Greg Atkins. If you believe that Greg Atkins and administration is doing a good job, you vote for the sales tax. If you don't, you vote against it. Let's wait and see what the returns come in. Thank you.
Marvin Getz.
Good members, school board, and Dr. Atkins. I'm here again this evening to talk to you about pay raises for our substitute teachers. We have 1,443 substitute teachers. On any given day, we have as many as 500. Last Friday, we had 690 absent. We can't fill that amount. Those classes go without a teacher because they're split up and other arrangements are made for the children. If we're going to attract teachers and substitutes, then you're going to have to come up with a salary schedule that's applicable. I have in front of me a document from Aldi Company, which is a new German corporation in the food market business. They had a sale, they had a program to bring in new hires, employees. Store associate, no education, no requirement other than to be alive, in a sense. They earn $12.70 an hour, plus a 50-cent hour increase in the first 6 months. If you work the shift in the evenings, stocking shelves and things, $17.20 an hour. And what do we pay our subs? Think about it. And all the things we expect of them. To take care of the children, to do the lessons, to follow up on everything, and to be accountable for everything that goes on, the same as a full-time teacher. We need to reconsider the funds that we do. In addition, there are other issues. We lose 40 to 50 subs a month. Of course, we gain new ones, but many of them have no training. They've never been trained as a teacher. Currently, we have about 900 of our substitutes that I can hang on to that have bachelor's or master's, and we have 31 PhDs, EDDs. These people aren't going to stay unless we do something to recognize the role of the substitute teacher, who, as you always tell me, is an important part of the educational system. The clock is ticking. It's in your corner. Thank you.
Lori Fahey.
Good evening. I'm Lori Fahey, and I keep hearing that this board is working to improve its image, its public image, and to increase the support of our community. But your actions are speaking louder than your words. Stakeholders have asked for increased transparency, and you continue to hold untelevised workshops at 2 in the afternoon. I attended a recent untelevised backroom workshop on hiring a new board attorney and on moving the date for the superintendent's contract renewal, both which would deny voices to the new board members. We could have 4 new members this fall. The board attorney and superintendent contracts should be for a maximum of 1 year prior to the new board elections, to ensure good working relations with the new board. Please bring our board together, don't divide them before they start. We've seen previous boards make this mistake, and it didn't go well for improving their image. At the same workshop discussing renewing the superintendent's contract for 3 years, the board chair suggested several ways to eliminate public comment of the very stakeholders who elected and paid the board's salaries. If you listen to the community, you don't need to pay for expensive surveys and marketing. Today's workshop, which was untelevised again, highlighted spending large sums of money for a survey and the creation of a new branding initiative and marketing scheme, which did not create more confidence in the board's financial savvy. Nor is your decision to spend unknown thousands of taxpayer dollars on 4-color ads and a massive marketing plan to convince the taxpayers to give the district more money. I'm concerned, too, that this marketing and the brochures related to the half-penny sales tax could be in violation of state statute 106.113. And I have a copy of that for you, Mr. Martin, and for the board. The statute states that public funds for political advertisement concerning a referendum that is subject for the vote of the electors is not allowed. You're not allowed to use public tax dollars for that. We don't know where the money's coming from, but if we have some extra to spend, maybe we should give it to the substitute teachers. Again, if you really want to improve your image, show us, please. Thank you.
Oh, that's 5. Okay. Gina Teal, and I'm going to ask you to do something a little bit different. We ask people to fill out the blue cards because it tells the clerk who's speaking. So I'm going to ask that when you finish speaking, you just fill out one of the blue cards so she has a record of your appearance. Thank you.
Both of my children have attended Oasis schools since it opened. My youngest daughter is going into high school next year, and thus far we are unhappy with Oasis. So we took the risk of doing school choice, which we've never had to do before, for this reason. She filled out her 5 choices, and she was giving her last choice, which is 30 minutes from our house. Way out in the middle of nowhere where we don't even go, we don't do anything out there. She did her choices, we went to all the open houses, we did all of our research, and she was given her last choice when I have 4 schools that are so much closer. I have a school that she could literally walk to go to high school, and she was given a school that's 30 minutes away. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. She is like beyond devastated. This is one of the reasons we didn't want to do this, but at the same time, she doesn't want to stay at Oasis because it's not a good school anymore. So we're kind of like torn. We don't know what to do. She's on the waiting list for her first choice, but she's like number 130. The other 2 schools are close to us. Like I said, the one is right down the road. She can walk there. And I just feel like something needs to be done, because I'm not going to send my child to a school 30 minutes away where we don't even go, we don't know anything about it. I'm sorry. It's just frustrating because it's not a school that we even toured, that we know nothing about, because we never assumed this would happen. You know, I'm not going to put her on a bus. She's never ridden a bus because we've always been so close. I'm not sending her somewhere that's 30 minutes away when there's all these other schools that are so much closer for her to be at. She said, Mom, I just want to go to a different high school because I've been with the same kids since kindergarten. I just want something different. And the other schools offer so much more than Oasis does. And we've been there since they opened. So, you know, they're not going to change in a timely manner. They're not going to update anything, especially at the high school level. My daughter's graduating from there in less than a month. And there's been nothing but issues all 4 years. You know, my youngest just wants a chance to make new friends, to have opportunities that she will not have at Oasis, to be able to take classes that they will never provide. And I'm not going to send her to a school that's 30 minutes away. I'm not. So as a parent, I'm stuck because now that we did school choice, she has now lost her seat at Oasis. So I just need some help. I don't know what to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Teal. And since you filled out the blue card, that's perfect because Dr. Atkins can arrange to have someone from student assignment contact you and talk to you about what options you might have. So thank you. Mr. Getz, where is he? There he is, all the way in the back. We do so appreciate your advocacy for the subs. We really do, and we recognize how important they are, but we have a money problem. So we don't forget about the role that the substitute teachers play, and we don't disrespect it. We recognize how important they are, and they do come into consideration when we talk about salaries in the district. But as you know, we are really, really strapped. So thank you for your advocacy. Ms. Fahey, I never commented about eliminating public comment. I don't know where that came from. And I will say also that we were well aware of the state law regarding district funds being spent on a sales tax. She's apparently not here to hear my response. But the fact of the matter is, this district will not be spending a single dime on advocating for a yes vote on the half-cent sales tax. There will be a PAC. There is a PAC organized to raise money to advocate on behalf of the district. So I wanted to clarify that. I'm going to ask you, Dr.
I'd be happy to address the issue concerning the statute Ms. Fahey referenced, if you wish.
Perfect. So I'm going to ask you to do that, and I'm going to ask Dr. Atkins if you could just give like a 1 minute about what's happening with safety and security in the schools and the audits and whatever for the audience. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
The statute that Ms. Fahey referenced, 106.113 of Florida statute, states that a local government or a person acting on behalf of a local government may not expend public funds for a political advertisement concerning a referendum that is subject to the vote of the electors. If you do further research in the statute, you'll see that the political advertisement, which is prohibited, is defined as being an advertisement that expressly advocates passage. There are division of elections opinions that address that definition, explaining that messages such as vote for, support, cast your ballot for, we seek your support of, our advocacy message that would constitute political advertisement. So the brochures that were addressed, were referenced, do not contain those form of messages. They're not a political advertisement, and they're not prohibited by the statute.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Dr. Atkins.
Okay, relative to student safety and security, a lot of different initiatives are moving forward. We do have Mr. Rick Parfit, who is actually here today in the viewing audience, but Mr. Parfit has hit the ground running, and he has already been out working on assessing, the threats of potential threats in each particular school. That will take some time. The Assembly of Threat Assessment Teams is something that they're working on right now. In addition to that, we have looked at our capital plan and have made revisions to our project list on our capital plan to improve our efforts to do school hardening, things such as single point entry, integrated technology that will allow for us to, again, enhance that single point entry, as well as monitor our students and people who might be on campus. In addition to that, the Sheriff's Department has really stepped up to the plate and has deployed 40 additional school resource officers, which are currently deployed out to all of our schools. And so we have made those connections. They're out in the schools right now. So that all of our elementary schools now are fully covered, as well as our charter schools. And then, so those are just a few of the things that were going on behind the scenes. Finally, again, this is a full community effort. So you've got our team working and reaching out with different municipalities, the county, and also different cities within our community, and working together to try to improve student safety. And then finally, I failed to mention, our students who are working with us. And this is the group that came together specifically for student safety, and they are continuing to work on ways to garner additional funds for our school district so that we can pay for additional security items for our students.
Thank you very much. Next is approval of action items in the agenda under consent. The documentation for action items listed under consent is made available to board members 7 days prior to the board meeting. We are expected to review all of the material, and we have an opportunity to speak with the superintendent with any questions we may have regarding the recommendations. Board members, are there any agenda items you wish to pull for discussion? Mrs. Fisher.
I have none this evening.
Mrs. Giovanelli?
I have none.
Mrs. Patrica?
No, thank you.
Mr. Teuber?
No, ma'am.
Mrs. LaRiviere?
No, ma'am.
Dr. Kuckel? And I have none. So, moving right along, is there a motion to approve this evening's consent action items?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. LaRiviere and seconded by Mr. Teuber. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, motion carries 7-0. Dr. Atkins, would you please introduce any administrators in attendance with a new assignment that were approved on the consent agenda?
Just one person, or two people that I'd like to introduce. One of them is here, and I believe the other one is not here. We do have an appointment of Executive Director for School Development, Sherry Freeman. She is actually moving here from Georgia. We'll have a start date of April 30th, and so she'll be joining Dr. Creel's team in the very, very near future. And we do have in the audience today Bethany Quisenberry, who, as we all know, is the turnaround principal and doing an outstanding job at Franklin Park Elementary, is receiving an appointment to Curriculum Instruction Innovation Director, Elementary Curriculum. She is here today, so please.
Congratulations. Okay, Dr. Atkins, would you please read your recommendations?
First recommendation, I recommend board approval of the estimated expenditure of $1 million for the bid for the removal and installation of new non-coded UL-listed intelligent analog addressable fire alarm systems with multiplex signal transmission to all digital technology, integrated fire and security solutions, Simplex Grinnell LP, for a period of June 27, 2018 through June 26, 2019, pursuant to the same terms and conditions as previously approved by the board. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Kuckel, seconded by Mrs. LaRiviere. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 7-0.
Next recommendation, I recommend board approval of the estimated expenditure for the ITN for refrigeration repair services in the amount of $700,000 for the period of May 2nd, 2018 through May 1st, 2019, pursuant to the same terms and conditions as previously approved by the board. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Fisher, seconded by Mr. Teuber. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 7-0.
Next recommendation, I recommend board approval for the estimated expenditure of $1,300,000 for the ITN for glass materials repair and installation to Gatewood Glass, Inc. for the period of June 6, 2018 through June 5, 2019, pursuant to the same terms and conditions as previously approved by the board. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Kuckel.
Support.
Mrs. Fisher. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 7-0.
My final recommendation, I recommend board approval for the total program cost to deploy portables needed for the 2018-19 school year at an estimated expenditure of $1,111,319. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents.
Board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Was that number correct?
Yes, 1,100.
Yeah. Could you just
1,000?
1 million? Yeah.
Let me read it again, really. I'll read it again just in case.
Yep, please.
I recommend board approval of the total program cost to deploy portables needed for the 2018-19 school year at an estimated expenditure of $1,111,319. Approval authorizes. Excuse me. $1,011,319. There we go. Approval authorizes the superintendent to execute all related documents. Come on, Mr. Martin, you got to get me better, quicker than that next time.
Okay, board members, you've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Moved by Mrs. Patrica, seconded by Mr. Teuber. Any discussion? Mrs. Patrica.
I think the reason why you choked on the number is because this is the equivalent of throwing good money after bad, right? Yeah. And this is a very good indication of why the half-penny sales tax is so sorely needed. One of the things that I've learned over the past couple of months is that not only are our classrooms overcrowded, requiring us to have more portables on campuses, but Three Oaks Elementary, for example, the entire third grade class is in portables. And portables have to be evacuated in the event of a tornado warning or in the event of a major thunderstorm. And we live in Florida, so there are major thunderstorms all the time. And that's repeated interruptions to those children's learning environment throughout the year. That's the first year that they're taking the FSA. And that's just one example at one school. So it's not only a weather-related safety issue, but it's also a safety and security issue with regard to what the FGCU students spoke about, and Dr. Atkins, what you spoke about with regard to hardening our schools. So I support this recommendation because it's needed to house our students, but I hope the public understands that it's an indication of the need for additional revenue so that we can actually build schools that are safe and secure for our students.
Thank you, Mr. Teuber.
And to add what Ms. Patrica said quite eloquently, this is only 22 portables, and we're going to continue to, the number will continue to grow as we can't afford to put brick and mortar. You know, the previous proposal that we just approved was $1.3 million, and that was to replace windows in 5 of our existing schools. That's current, again, capital dollars that we're spending to keep money, you know, taxpayer money that we've already spent to build these buildings to keep them with value. We have to do that to all of our schools to provide safe learning environments for our children and to provide good investments for our taxpayers, and we simply don't have the money. You continue to see this, and will continue to sound like a broken record for all the people to get out there and tell your neighbors and tell your friends that the best way to keep the value in your own homes, the best way to get the best education for our children and not put them in portables with tables that don't work or things that are just not up to the level that you expect for your children is to help us with our sales tax. Thank you. I'll be supporting this today as well.
Thank you. Are there any other board member comments? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 7-0.
I just had one other quick comment relative to that recommendation. I mean, one of the things that we have to do is do an analysis relative to class size. Another number to choke on would be the cost if we were to pay the class size amendment and increase the number of students in these classrooms. It actually exceeds the cost of these portables, believe it or not. So that was something that actually surprised me, because I thought that portables would be more costly. Now, having said that, one of the things about these portables, this is just the cost of deployment. There is an ongoing cost to lease and maintain portables, and portables are more difficult than a more regular structure. So it's food for thought.
Thank you. Mr. Martin.
Yes, Ms. Morgan, board members, I recommend the board approve the Lee County School Board participating in the appeal of the Circuit Court judge's ruling finding House Bill 7069 constitutional and the additional expenditure for legal fees in the appeal in the amount of $25,000. Approval authorizes the school board attorney to sign related documents.
You've heard the board attorney's recommendation. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Fisher, seconded by Mrs. Patrica. Any discussion? Mrs. Giovanelli.
Okay, I've really toyed with this today because I initially supported the board in making the decision to do the lawsuit. But when it failed, I'm reluctant to spend more money with the fact that it could fail again. So therefore today I'm not going to support it. So I just wanted to tell you I would like to see if other districts and counties were going to stay in, and that I didn't get a really good answer with that today. I would prefer to wait to make that final decision, but I know that I'm not sure that the board would agree with me to wait a little bit longer to make that decision. And that's really, I just wanted to see who else was in the Florida was going to stay in, so.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Mrs. Fisher?
Yes. I'm going to be supporting this today because I think that we have made a statement along with other sister districts in the state. And I think the judge made it quite clear at the initial hearing that the decision was out of his league and that it would be going to appeals and then probably the Supreme Court. I did feel today that Mr. Martin gave us the information that we needed regarding the potential of losing 1 to 3 of the districts, but that it looked like everyone else was staying in. And I think that if we want to improve our image, when we make a decision, we need to stick with it and see it through. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. 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 Those opposed, like sign.
1.
Motion carries 6-1. Time for board member comments. I'll start with Dr. Kuckel.
I have nothing tonight.
Okay, Mrs. LaRiviere.
I have none at this time.
Mr. Toiver.
I have none.
Mrs. Patrica. Thank you. Mrs. Giovanelli.
And thank you.
Mrs. Fisher.
2 brief things. I want to appreciate the Littleton Howling Owlet Chorus for their performance tonight. And I want to thank Alana Newell for representing the student advisory here at this meeting and congratulate her on the receipt of the Golden Future Scholarship.
Yes, I do too. And it's your...
And just a point of order, though, I think there was a typo there, Elena, that said when you're going to come back to teach elementary education, you meant elementary education here in Lee County. I'll just add that in. Okay, thank you.
Can we clap for her again?
Get her a contingency contract right now.
And on to that pen.
Alana, would you like to say anything? It's your turn.
Just what Ms. Fisher said. The course was amazing. It was great to see the performance because, you know, we do have talented students in the school board. Also, I just want to thank all the board members for giving me this opportunity to sit up here with you guys and see all of the things and the aspects that you guys are doing to make our school systems better and give us the proper education and safety. And it's just great to be up here to actually see it from your perspective, and I just want to thank each and every one of you for just doing the best you can for our students.
Wow, thank you very much. I am just going to mention that this is Administrative Assistance Week, and I would like to express thanks to everyone in the district who is an administrative assistant, and I would specifically like to call out Mrs. Johnson and
Yay.
Mrs. Reeder.
Yay. Sorry, yay, I love them.
Oh.
I want to embarrass them.
You have. She looks like she's blushing. Anyway, we are very, very grateful for your ability to herd 7 cats and keep us on schedule and on task. So thank you very much for your work.
And can we clap for her, too?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Mr. Martin, do you have any comments?
None this evening, thank you.
You, Dr. Atkins?
Only that I would also like to recognize Jen Schaefer because she's the person that puts the board agendas together.
Well, that's true.
I have no further comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next scheduled meeting of the board is Tuesday, May 8th, when there is a special school board meeting at 2 p.m., followed by a briefing meeting as well as a school board workshop. The school board action meeting will begin at 6 p.m. At this point, having no other business to come before this body, I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Moved by Dr. Kuckel, seconded by Mrs. La Rivera. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much.